Hello all. Since I have a microtonal Halberstadt keyboard, I'm creating scale videos for equal temperaments 11 to 19, since these are small enough to be played similarly to standard tuning. Each equal temperament has its own video and goes over 2 full scales in every key. I present what I think the most logical fingerings are based on various criteria. My goals were to try and preserve fingerings from standard 12 equal tuning to make logical decisions about scales that are in uncharted territory technique-wise, and to create similar fingerings for all scales so that less has to be learned. If you're a piano player and these scales don't make sense to you, I recommend you look at the 12 equal video I did on this to compare conventions, naming schemes, etc.
Fun fact, that's actually this video. I play 12 TET scales here, but in the same format as other videos for comparison's sake. There are quite a few differences in 12 TET compared to the others. Of course, significantly more musicians are practiced on 12 TET scales and know their relationships offhand. There are also variations within minor scales, namely natural, harmonic, and melodic, that sometimes create more fingerings for those scales. If one was ambitious enough, they could create fingerings for analogous microtonal scales of some sort by taking a moment of symmetry scale, or MOS, and changing some important intervals, i.e. modifying it into a mod MOS. Since these videos only explore 2 scales, going through one mode of each of them, that means that this video will feature solely major scales, or Ionian, and diminished scales. No minor scales, since they're filled with variations as well as being modes of major scales. Minor scale fingerings are not simply shifted over from their relative major scales in traditional practice either, which makes them different from how one might construct fingerings in non-traditional scales, as I have done. This is the video for piano fingerings in 12-tone equal temperament. The 2 scales I've picked to represent this tuning are Meantone 7 and Diminished 8. When I play a scale, I'll highlight the notes from the scale in pink. The tonic note will be a slightly darker shade of pink than the other highlighted keys from the scale. I'll play through 2 octaves to show how fingers cross into the next octave, and or how fingerings can be slightly changed at the ends of the scales to reduce crossing. Meantone is a 7-note scale with 5 large steps and 2 small steps. It's the regular temperament name for 12 tones diatonic scale. It's historically a thoroughly used tuning, getting its name from the fact that it averages the size of 2 mathematically different near whole tones. It's the albatonic scale of this 12-tone layout, because you can play it on the white keys, the C major scale. The large steps span 2 degrees of 12, while the small steps span 1 degree of 12. I'll be playing this mode, the traditional Ionian or major mode, 2-2-1, 2-2-2-1. The fingerings we'll be using are standardized and traditional in piano literature, such that I reference them in the other videos. Diminished is an 8-note scale with 4 large steps and 4 small steps. The large steps span 2 degrees of 12, while the small steps span 1 degree of 12. I'll be playing this mode. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. The diminished scale is a transpositionally symmetrical scale, meaning that we only play 3 distinct forms and can thus reuse the same fingerings 3 times when starting at a different spot with the same notes. In that sense, it's treated completely differently than major and minor modes are in 12-TET scale practice. The diminished scales and their modes starting on C and D can use 4+4 grouping, but the ones starting on C sharp and its modes will need a 3+3+2 fingering. This results in 2 unique fingerings. Not only do the C and D fingerings match, but they also allow the 1s and 3s in both hands to play at the same time, similarly to how 3s play at the same time in both hands in C major scale fingering. When we play starting on C, E flat, G flat, and A, one hand will start on 2 while the other starts on 4, whereas when we play starting on D, F, A flat, and B, both hands will either start on 1 or on 3. Similarly, the fingering starting on C sharp always lines up with 1, specifically 3 times per octave. As with other scales in this series, I may change the finger numbers of the endpoints of the scale for more convenience. For example, the diminished scale starting on F works with the left-hand pinky starting and the right-hand pinky ending to avoid extra crosses to 4 given 2-octave scales. Thanks for watching. If you would like to support giant, extravagant microtonal cover songs, keyboard arrangements of Easley Blackwood's microtonal etudes, microtonal podcasting, educational videos on ear training/modes, or my composition, you can donate to my Now and Zen Patreon account. We almost have 60. This video is made possible by my Zen Harmonic patrons, as well as my Zen Harmonic gods: June Dai Bates Kobashigawa, Naren Rattan, Mike Battaglia, Adam Freese, Matthew Sheeran, Vincenzo Sicarilla, Hector McGuffin, Christopher Bailey, Leland O. Weigel, Amy Coleman, Jill Weigel, and Tina Harmon Carto. Thanks so much. Catch you in the next video. 14 TET.